tell you, I'll start from the beginning and I'll go real fast. I was born in Montreal, Canada. Hey? So born in Montreal, eh? And of American parents. My parents were from New York and Boston. And yeah. Pretty good there, that's all right there, you know. Yeah, you're Boston, huh? Yeah, park your car outside, I'll be right over. Anyway, I was raised in Montreal, and I went out to Hollywood, California in about 1970, and I was part of the Laugh-In television production sequence that we're developing a new show called It's a Wacky World. And it was a 2-hour special, and I left Canada to be a part of that, and I had a manager, I bought a house, and brought my baby with me. And we were settled in Hollywood. We did the show, finally finished it, and it went into the toilet. Hollywood term for Drew. And I was looking for a job. Pardon me, isn't that Irish food in? Can't even pronounce what I had to eat tonight. It sounds pretty much like the burp, you know. What did you have, Pete? Anyway, I went out and they were starting a new show called The Sonny and Cher Show. And they needed an announcer. And so I went out and I auditioned as the announcer and I got the job. And I happened to be there at the time where they were doing a comedy sequence. And he said, you mind stepping into this fisherman's outfit, yellow thing with a yellow hat, and just hold this fish in your hand? It was like a wax fish, a big wax fish. So I was holding it in my hand. I was standing in a line with a bunch of guys. And they were doing some sequence for the press. They were picking a 5-man group for the Sonny and Cher Show to be their comedian backups that ended up being there for the next 5 years. And they got to me in the line, and it was like, say something funny. And the producer looked at me and he said, he was from Australia, he said, "Don't you know that bloody fish is dead?" And I looked at him like this with this stupid thing on. I said, "The fish knows that. No, I know that. You know that. But the fish, he don't know that." And they broke up. I gave you the punchline before I started. They broke up. And I was on the show from thereafter. So on an ad lib. Oh, there you go. And that's when I started in Hollywood, did some other stuff, and ended up in doing voiceovers and cartoons. That's misinformation. I was never on the Smothers Brothers. It was the Sonny and Cher Show. Yeah. They get a lot of things wrong in that thing, you know. They really do.
The internet's wrong?
Google the schmoogle, what is that? Yeah. I auditioned for 2 of them. For Ironhide, and I got Ironhide as well. And Ironhide was, that was almost a fluke. I'd watched, I think, an old Western the night before. Ah, come on, Prime, what you trying to do? I think it was a combination of Phil Crosby, Chill Wills, Broderick Crawford, and God knows what else, and a few beers, I think, too. When I read the character breakdown for Optimus Prime, and that would have been at my audition, and it was a cattle call in Hollywood, and you got to break down in a picture. And the breakdown is usually very, very simplified. And from that simplification, I was pretty much, I was lucky. My brother Larry was a former Marine, captain in the Marine Corps, and he had fought in Vietnam, 13 months older than myself. And, excuse me, I just had some Italian food, you know what I mean? Should have said Irish food. And all the attributes that were involved in that character breakdown represented to me a leader. And my brother was a leader. Soft-spoken, but capable of tremendous wrath as a Marine, and very honorable. We burned a lot of midnight oil. But truly, he had all the attributes that were laid down in front of me, and I used him as a backdrop for that audition. And I could hear, you know, through the walls, and I could hear guys with their pages in front of them, you know, doing, you know, one must live and one must die. You know, and I was just very quiet, and I just looked at those, you know, those options, and I became very quiet and thought about those ideals, and went into the audition, and they picked me. So I'm really lucky, and I'm lucky because I'm here in front of you guys 20 years later, you know. Yeah.
I'm going to do this character until I'm 109. Your box. Form.
Better still. The movie script. Oh no. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'll be blunt. It was an ass kicker. I mean, you start off with a script, and you figure Transformers. You've done Optimus Prime, and you know it's still on the air. Fox was running it, and you know you're into your how many seasons at this point. Well, you didn't really know. You didn't have any response from people or from the public. And so you looked at the script and you said, son of a gun. I'm friggin' dying. What the hell's all this about? I guess I'm not coming back next year, you know? I felt like a soap opera star, you know? They get bitchy. Some old bag they get out of her style, you know, and ask for too much money.
Agnes is dead.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
As the stomach turns. Television is television and film is film. When you're working film, you're working a different sound system. You're working a little more intimately. You're not going to play it out as much for some reason. And when they apply that technically, and it comes out into production, you're looking at Dolby's, and you're looking at all the different aspects of sound and science, which you don't hear on a TV set. You know, when you're going to see it in a theater, it's going to be much more powerful. And don't forget, you know, when I realized I was going, you know, I mean, screw this, man, I'm going to give this one everything buck I got, you know. You know, milk this sucker, this is your last dance, you know. I had a tremendous sense of financial depression. What, am I going to have to go out and work for a living? What is this here? You get settled into a character and you get comfortable with it and you like it and you enjoy your work and you're respected for it, and then you're gone, and that's life. That happens to everybody. Corey Burton is one of the greatest talents. He's one of the nicest people in the world too. I admire him a lot. Genuine, wonderful person. And his remarks about the changing world in our business today he's right when he says it's changing so quickly. And it has, because with the introduction to cable and the introduction to satellite, ISDNs, we're in nanotechnology. We're almost in our way into 3D imaging, and the world of science fiction, Transformers, for example, I guess is one of those pioneers, into the whole world of animation that is taking us further into nanotechnology. But when you ask specifically about where somebody has to go today, I took advantage of what I had to do when I was a kid. And back in those days, it was a very, very small cluster of professional people. There were only 3 networks: ABC, CBS, and NBC. Boom, boom, boom. You had Sid Caesar, Jackie Gleason, Ed Sullivan. You didn't have a lot of television. And so there was very little opportunity for anybody from any walk of life just to walk into it. You had to be really dedicated, and you had to be good or different. And the key word here is different. You had to be different. You couldn't just do what somebody else did. You had to do something new. And consequently, that made you become more adventuresome, and you had to investigate and discover. So you became a discoverer. And every generation has done that. Don't forget, there's a lot of discoveries that happened even in your lifetime. The beginning with Transformers, MTV started. There were a lot of things that have started since then. In the year 2004 and beyond, there are new additions. Things are coming in at lightning speed. People are entering walks of life into radio and television that 25 years ago never would have given it a single thought, because it would have been impossible, and certainly impossible based on the parameters of what I was involved in and my generation were. But today is an opportunity. It's a technological age, and it's open to the imagination and creative abilities for people that can do computer work, voicing, and anything else you can imagine. And that's what I recommend to anybody that looks at this business. There's nothing you can't do if you put your mind to it. So, yeah, it's tough for old guys, when you busted your chops for a long time, and not that I'm complaining, but today, now to stay competitive, you have to be everywhere at the same time, and you have to do it sometimes for nothing. It's like starting all over again. But, hey, that's the game we play. I mean, I don't have any organized thing at all, or never have, in anything I've done in 45 years. Maybe it's just kind of an old-fashioned approach to things, I just go out and do what I do and do the best I can. I don't have an answer for that, really. I don't commercialize what I've done. I mean, you can see that every day. Guys go out there and they get something popular, and they get publicists, and they get, a whole mainstream of guys jumping in on it, and they get on every show and every magazine like this. And in the final analysis, there's nothing there. It's just, it's. And I've always felt pretty good about what I've done, and pretty basically happy the way I live it, And I don't think I would go any further or do anything different than I've done this way. You guys are here, and I didn't need a publicist, and I didn't go out and hire anybody, and this is just my heart to yours, I mean, you can't call this ETV, you know. It's certainly not, you know, some of the reality shows and, you know, I mean, none of that crap. I'm here because you guys, and you're here with me. I love you guys. I love you. Wow. Thanks. How many of you guys remember this line? Until the day, till all are one. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. One shall stand, one shall fall. All we need now is a little energon and a lot of luck. Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost. And there was one that you probably hadn't heard. He was from a kid named Stephen Colley. He was from the Midwest, and he was my greatest fan, and I thought my only fan, but somehow I got a letter from him, and it was important because the studios allowed me to get it. He was a young kid dying of cancer, and his biggest wish was to communicate with me. So they allowed this letter to come through to me, and I wrote him back. We started a whole series of communication. The next thing I got back from him was a promise that he was needle pointing me, Optimus Prime, an 8-foot needlepoint figure. And then I got the news from his hospital and from his friends that he had died. And the cancer ward back in his hospital proceeded to put the kids together, and they all loved this kid. And all those kids with the same cancer condition got together, and they finished the project, and they sent it to me. And one of my notes had been to him, you know, we had talked, you know, we had related to each other somehow, and he said something. He said, never give up on your dream. The world is built on dreams. And that affected me really deeply. And I responded back somehow. It continued, and this came back, and I'm not sure the exact historical sequence of this, but Stephen is still precious in my heart. And they needle stitched this in underneath his needlepoint painting and framed and sent it to me, and it's hanging on my wall and has been ever since. But that's such a great line, you know, and you would think that maybe Optimus Prime was capable of that, but it's only capable when you think of a kid dying, who did die, and it said it. So, you know, hold on to your dreams. The world is built on dreams. It's Optimus getting a little sentimental here, but, you know, time to go into some Ironhide. That's my tribute to Stephen Colley. God love him.
Transform and let's roll.